You're listening to the Dr. Nina Show with Dr. Nina Savelle Rocklin, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hi there. Welcome to the Dr. Nina Show, Outsmart Emotional Eating. I'm your host, Dr. Nina Savelle Rocklin. I'm a psychoanalyst specializing in eating disorders, and I know firsthand what it is like to struggle. I found the cure, and now I help people all over the world find food freedom and stop binge eating, stress eating, and emotional eating. And on this show, I am here for you too. Imagine waking up and thinking about your day, not your diet. Wouldn't that be amazing? That's what I want for you. So today we're going to talk about breaking up with the bathroom scale and redefining your self-worth beyond weight. And if we have time, I'm going to open up for questions. If you are on Instagram, feel free to drop, oh, thanks, Renee. Someone on Instagram, Renee in Europe. If you are on Instagram, like Renee is and other people, and you have a comment or a question, feel free to just drop it in the comment question and I will address it as soon as I see it. Okay, so do you weigh yourself constantly? Does the bathroom scale rule your life? If so, it is time to reevaluate your relationship with numbers. Maybe you wake up in the morning or a little groggy, and one of the first things you do is step onto that scale. And that number, that digital or analog indicator that stares back at you, that can become the single most significant determinant factor of your mood for the entire day, right? If it's a number lower than yesterday, you're elated, you're on top of the world. It's like, yes, and you are ready to take on the world. You feel accomplished, you feel good about yourself. Yay. But what happens? What happens if that number increases even just a fraction higher, even just a tiny bit? More often than not, your mood plummets. You feel a sense of failure. You're disappointed. You even maybe feel worthless. And that is where the problem lies. When we equate our self-esteem and our self-worth to a number on a scale, we are doing ourselves a huge disservice. We're ignoring our multifaceted selves, and we are focusing on a number, all the talents we have, all the skills we've spent years honing, all our dreams, all our ambitions, all our accomplishments, all aspects of our characters, the very essence of who we are ignored or pushed aside because that number is not the number that you want. And by the way, I should just say, this is not going to be a show about body positivity and accepting the number. I'm not saying, hey, you should just accept the number. What I'm saying is you cannot let that number rule your life and make you feel bad about yourself, nor should it make you feel good about yourself. If you want to lose weight, and this is so controversial, I don't even know why this is controversial, that someone would want to lose weight. But it is. So I'm going to be controversial and just say, look, it is okay to want to lose weight. People want to lose weight. Now, if you want to lose weight because you think that you will feel better, because it'll be better for your health, you're going to like the way you look, those are all great reasons for losing weight. But if you think you want to lose weight so it will change your life, so you'll be a better version of yourself, so that things will all things in your life will be better at a different weight, or somehow you'll be better, that's something I want you to challenge. So this is not about, hey, don't lose weight, body acceptance. No. The call-in number is, oh my gosh, I have 323-203-0815. 323-203-0815. Nicole, I would love to hear from you if you would like to call in. Okay, so also, our weight can fluctuate for a lot of reasons. Hormonal changes, fluid balance, the food we ate the previous day, the nature of our workouts. There are so many reasons why our weight can vary from day to day. And so you are more than a number on the scale, is my point. You are a complex unique individual with many qualities that define your worth, and a piece of metal and plastic cannot measure your value and should not have the power to affect your worth. Yes, Nicole, 323-203-0815 is the number to call in if you'd like to join the conversation. Would love to hear from you. All right. So let's look first at the culture of weight obsession. When we look at societal and cultural pressures around weight, it's really important to note this doesn't just magically appear out of nowhere. We just don't naturally decide that our weight is the wrong weight. The number should be different. It's this complex interplay of social norms and media representation and cultural expectations and social media. This is all what shapes our perception of what the right weight is anyway, whatever that is. The right weight is the weight you feel good at. And for decades, the media has portrayed thinness as the epitome of beauty. Thankfully, this is beginning to change. Love that it's changing. But for many years, it's like if you're not thin, there's something wrong with you. This is the ideal. And the diet industry, so it just rings. There's no response. Sam, Sam, are you there? Because I have a caller calling who says that there's no answer to the ring. Live radio, everybody. This is so fun. Sam, can you hear me? Uh-oh. That's not good. Let me just see if he is going to take a look. So, Nicole, if you want to try again, try the number. Sam is going to take a look, and hopefully it will not just ring through. Okay. Sorry about that. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon. And by the way, like if you look at,
hello?
You got in. Okay.
Hello,
is this, hi, Nicole.
Hi there. How's it going?
How are you? It's been a long time since you've called the show. You're breaking up. All right. Hopefully she'll call back. Yeah, this is like, oh, there she goes. All right. Yeah. Welcome to live radio, everybody. These things happen. Hopefully, Nicole, if you can call back from a number with better reception, that would be awesome. Okay, if we look back at like the 40s and you look at advertisements for women, it'll be like, are you too skinny? Take this magic pill and it'll make you gain weight and you'll be more voluptuous. Like those are the kinds of messages that women in the 40s were getting. And now we get the message of skinny is better. Yeah, Barb, lives are the best, right? Everything, whatever happens. I've had people once actually when I was in the studio at LA Talk Radio, we're not in the studio anymore. Someone called in and they were looking for directions to a dry cleaner. And I was like, you are calling a live radio show. I am not a dry cleaner. You better find who you're calling. And then they called back. Anyway, pretty funny. Back to business. All right. So we also have social media where we have filtered and edited images, and that just creates such an unrealistic idea of what beauty should be, of what body size is supposed to be. People who body tune their waists and all this stuff, or build up their muscles, or all these things. They don't even look like actual humans, but they make people think that that's the way you're supposed to look. And these images are far removed from the diversity of real human bodies. And this has led to this terrible psychological impact where we internalize these messages and we strive for this unattainable and unhealthy ideal body. And then when we don't get there because there is no perfection, right? Wait, look, perfectly imperfect. If you can see my cup, we are all perfectly imperfect. There is no perfection. And then when you don't reach that ideal, often you feel bad about yourself. If you don't have a way of coping, strategy for coping, then you might actually cope by using food. And so it becomes this vicious, horrible cycle. And by the way, it's not just social media. Millions of girls grew up playing with Barbie. And by the way, Barbie's proportions, if she were an actual person, if she were scaled to human size, Barbie it would be like somewhere around 5'9", with a 36 to 40-inch bust. But that's not the weirdest part. No, the weirdest part, she would have an 18-inch waist and 33-inch hips. Right, like no actual human could have an 18-inch waist. Okay, so these dolls perpetuate these unbelievably unrealistic body standards. Yes, you are perfectly imperfect, and that is good enough. Cheers to that being perfectly imperfect. Yes, Barb, she would be a robot. She is like, she's a piece of plastic. And yet girls are taught, hey, that is what you're supposed to look at. Not overtly. No one's like, you should look like Barbie. But that's the message we get. Little girls play with Barbie. They want to look like Barbie. They think that's the ideal. And then they grow up and they don't have, 4 feet legs and an 18-inch waist and all of these things. And by the way, boys who grew up with the Ken doll or GI Joe or whatever, they got an equally distorted message about what they should look like. And there's a popular meme, you might have seen it. It says, it's just as hard to be Ken as it is to be Barbie, right? It's just as hard to be Ken. And now guys are being told, hey, forget the 6-pack abs. Like, you should have that 8-pack or that 12-pack. And by the way, you should have like huge biceps and you should be cut and ripped. And, guys have such impossible standards for themselves. And oh my gosh, don't have a dad bod, be cut, be chiseled, all of these things. So, it's tough. It's tough to live up to, it's impossible to live up to these standards. But there's also culture, because different cultures have different standards and ideals of what beauty is and what kind of body is aesthetically pleasing. And we're just getting message after message after message of, this is how you should be. And if you're not that, there's something wrong with you. And so there's so much bias, there's so much discrimination, there's so much body shaming, fat shaming, even skinny shaming. Don't hate me for that, but people also skinny shame, like body shaming, in both subtle and overt ways. Wonders in Life says the impossible standards for men are so toxic and self-destructive. Exactly. They're as toxic and self-destructive for men, for guys, as they are for women. Only guys aren't really talking about it. Like, I don't think my husband is going out with his buddies and going like, dude, I feel so much pressure to get my 8-pack back. But it gets in there nonetheless. I mean, it's maybe not with my husband, but with guys, like there are standards for all humans of, hey, don't look like a person, look like you spend 10 hours a day in the gym. If you look back at old movies, like, Cary Grant movies, if you look back at Cary Grant movies, and he was supposed to be the hot superstar guy then.
Hello?
Hi Nicole.
Hello?
Hold on. I'm finishing my thought. If you look back at him, he does not look like the typical how you should look as a guy now. Okay. Is this Nicole?
This is Nicole. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I just can't hear you very well.
You can't hear me very well?
I can hear you good enough. It's okay.
Okay. Good enough is good enough. How are you? It's good to have you back on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. So I'm actually 9 months pregnant, and during the entire time, I didn't really look at the scale. When I would go to the doctor and they would weigh me, I wouldn't even look. And I'm like, I don't need to know, as long as I feel good and I'm eating nutritiously to take care of my baby and I'm staying active. And then this weekend we went to the hospital because I had a false alarm. and they're like, you need to know how much you weigh for like medication and stuff for the epidural. So my husband's like, I'll look for you. So they weighed me. Your show could not have come at a better time. So they weighed me, and I accidentally saw the number, and it's been messing with me since I saw it. And I wish I didn't see it, and I'm like so thrown off by it, and I wish I didn't know, and I just don't know what to do.
Okay, well, Nicole, I'm so glad that this is timely. For those of you who are new to the show, and Wonders in Life, I'm going to get to your comment in a second. For those of you who are new to the show, for maybe a year, Nicole would call every week. And at the time was dating, wasn't finding the right guy, and would worry about the scale going up 2 pounds, right? And remember, we looked at, well, why did the 2 pounds make such a difference? And you associated it with how you felt like you were more lovable to your mom when you were thinner, and even 2 pounds would make you not as lovable. So how wonderful for you that now you're married, now you're having a baby any minute, it sounds like. So first of all, you're pregnant. That number there's so much of the number that you see when you're pregnant that has to do with the baby and water weight, because you haven't, whatever that weight is, it's not you, it's partly the baby and the fluid that you need to carry that baby. So know that it's not like a number that's a non-pregnant number. It's a number that's a pregnant number. It's not actually what you weigh. It's you plus baby, and you plus baby plus fluid. Right? So you'll see that.
I know that, and I keep reminding myself that it's the baby and the amniotic fluid and the placenta, and there's so much more, but still the number is so high that it's just messing with me so much. And like, I feel like my eating patterns the last 2 days have just been kind of off and manipulated because of seeing that number. And I'm trying not to judge myself for like being so affected by it. But now I'm obsessing about like, well, how much did I weigh before I got pregnant? How much weight did I gain? And like, it was such a freeing, amazing feeling, just not knowing and not caring. And now that I know, I can't move on. I want to break up with it. Like you said, like, I wish I didn't know. Like, who cares anyways?
Okay, so there's a part of you, that the rational intellectual part, that says, yes, I'm 9 months pregnant. This is baby, fluid, all the things, right? That is your intellectual, rational side. And by the way, Barb, who's a longtime listener and supporter of the show, is saying congratulations. I'm sure she heard you.
Oh, thank you.
So that's your intellectual, rational part. But what's taken over is the part of you that is it's not logical, it's psychological. So logically, you know what you know. Psychologically, you're getting taken over by this, and that's the part that says, I am not as lovable as when I am at a lower number. It's like a regression to an earlier time when you thought that you were a better you at a lower weight. And that's something really important to remember, that you are not like, you're not going to go with what's logical, right? You know what you know. You got to talk to the little girl part of you. This is the psychological part that says, oh my God, the number is so scary. What does it mean to you? What does it mean? And if I think back about all the time talked, it's something to do with lovability and enough-ness. But you tell me.
I think you're onto something. So yeah, maybe just talking to that self. I'm so lovable. I'm so great. My husband still loves me. This baby's gonna love me. It doesn't make me any which I've been saying. It doesn't make me any less than. I'm still worthy. I'm still lovable. I'm still great. Like, it's just a number. It doesn't define who I am. So I'm trying.
Okay,
I
it's
am
your
trying. Maybe I need to just do more of it.
okay. I think you also need to recognize that, and I'm saying this to Nicole based on like 1 year of her calling the show every week. So
Yeah.
so I'm saying this to you based on what I remember from our conversations, which is I think that that's your mother, that you dodging your mother's view of you. Your mother,
What is
your
my mother judging my mother of me, you said? Sorry,
you're,
I can't hear you very well.
like that you're that's your mother in you.
Oh, yeah.
So part
Actually,
of it,
the whole time she's been asking me, how much weight did you gain? How much weight do you gain? You don't look like you gained anything. Are you healthy? What the hell? And so maybe now that I know, it's like, oh, what would she think if she knew? So
yeah.
maybe, like, who cares? Not maybe, for sure. Who cares? It doesn't matter. I just want to have a healthy baby, but I care because it's bothering me. So
A part of you is dodging your actual mother's perspective, eyes, going, how much do you weigh? Another part of you who that identified with her extreme fixation on weight. I mean, your mother once said, whatever the Farsi phrase for it was, if I gain weight, I'd rather die, right?
right.
She'd rather die. Like if she gained weight, she'd want to be dead rather than gain weight. This is extreme.
Right.
So when you're raised
Right.
by someone like that, you internalize some part of it. And so if you see that the number, the pregnant number at 9 months pregnant, about to have this baby, is probably a super scary number. Remember, that's the logical part of you knows you're pregnant, but the part of you that internalized your mother with her, I'm going to say, crazy weight bias, crazy. And I don't use that word very often, but this is crazy. Is so scared of it because you were influenced by her focus on weight.
Yeah. So how to combat that, I guess, is the question. Just talking to the little girl. What can I do about it?
I think you need to do two things. One is imagine that your sister was pregnant and had gained a bunch of weight and was just fixated. What would you say to your sister? Or what would you say to a friend? What would you say to anybody else? That's part of it. But on a deeper level, what would you say to the little girl who was you, who felt like she wasn't loved as much as your sister because she was not as thin?
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I would tell her, well, the first question I would tell her that she's beautiful and that it's a beautiful part of the journey, and like, it's just, yeah, she still love her just as much. And yeah, the second one is kind of the same. I would just tell her, it doesn't, like, who cares? That doesn't identify who you are. Like, I love you for all these reasons, not because of, what the scale says or, what that number is.
Okay, so can I refine that a little bit rather than who cares? I see where
you're
going. I think what you need to say is, remember my VERY acronym: validate, acknowledge, and reassure yourself. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course you are upset about the number. You were raised thinking that you were a more lovable, better version of you if you were thin, and that you became less lovable if you crossed some imaginary boundary on a scale. Of course, this is upsetting. Of course, this is triggering. Of course, this is tapping into old, painful, emotional wounds. Of course it is. And then this is where you use the reassurance, which is part of the logic. You have always been lovable. Your lovability is not tied to your weight. You would not love your baby less if your baby is big versus if your baby is skinny. You're not like, oh, I love her so, or him. Do you know if you're having a girl or a boy? It's, sorry, what? Oh, I think I lost
Oh, no,
you.
I didn't say anything. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. Okay. So whatever this, you wouldn't say, oh my gosh, you know what? I thought I love my baby, but then my baby gained weight. And now, you know what? Not quite as much love there. I mean, how ridiculous, right? So remember that baby is also
Yeah.
your lovability does not lie on the weight that you are and the number on the scale. And find the love that you have for yourself instead of looking at yourself through your mother's eyes, which is just concerned with what is that number. Does that help?
Yeah, it helps a lot. Thank you so much.
You are so
I'm
welcome.
glad I called in.
I'm glad you called in too. And oh my gosh, what an amazing update. I remember when you first met this guy, when you were hoping to get engaged and all the things. And
Yeah.
just
Thank you, Dr. Nina. I
congratulations.
appreciate you.
Congratulations.
I'm going to go back to listening. Okay, thanks so much.
All right.
Okay, bye.
You can see how we internalize weight bias. And even though we intellectually know what we know, sometimes in certain situations, certain triggers can bring up all kinds of feelings and associations and thoughts about the past. I'm trying to find what wonders in life says. We internalize a lot of shame and self-hate towards our outward appearance as men, especially gay men, and our unexpressed suffering is a terrible burden. I invite you to express it, you are expressing it here, and to express it in any way that you can. I'm going to follow you. Wonders in life. Because the more that we use our voices to talk about this, the more that people are aware that they're not alone in their suffering, because so many people just kind of go along with it, or seem like they go along with the social norms, that sometimes it can feel like you're the only person who feels this way. But I am here to tell you, no, you are not alone. And by the way, men, people always say, well, men don't have eating disorders. Like, really? That's news to me, because yes, men struggle with food, men struggle with body image, men struggle with all the things that women struggle with. It's just not spoken enough. That's why my friend Marcus Kane, I love what he's doing. He's been on the show. I'm going to be on his show again. Check it out, because he's really talking about how guys struggle and suffer with eating disorders and body image issues, and it's time to change the conversation and challenge the norms. We humans, yes, Barb, we humans all struggle. I've told this story so many times on the show, but this is the perfect time to tell it again. I was on a podcast called Let's Reverse Obesity with John Buchanan, and he said, so wait, so he said, so you're turning to food because something's going on emotionally? And I said, yeah, exactly. Something like thoughts lead to feelings, lead to behavior. If you focus on the behavior, nothing's going to change. And he said, well, I'm a dude. I don't have feelings. I said, well, dude, yes, you do, because you are human, and humans have emotions, which are simply reactions to situations that we are socialized into not expressing. So guys aren't supposed to be vulnerable, God forbid, and women aren't supposed to be angry. Ooh, not ladylike, not nice. So what happens? Guys stuff their vulnerability, and women stuff their anger, and then they get mad at themselves. Oh, thank you for your kind words, Wonders in Life. Thank you for joining. And yes, to liberation. I often said I don't believe in recovery from eating disorders, because recovery means you're always in it. You're always thinking about it. No, I believe in liberation. That's when it really is in your rear view mirror. You're not thinking about it anymore. It's something you used to do. and you don't do it anymore because you have repaired your relationship with yourself. It's not even about food. Food is the solution to the problem. The problem is your relationship with yourself. And sometimes your relationship with yourself is dictated by the number on the scale. So the scale and self-worth have become entwined. And when we equate weight with value, that is a damaging mindset, and it can really impact our emotional and physical health, because it creates this unhealthy obsession with numbers. Again, our weight doesn't measure our characters, our achievements, our worth as human beings. And it's also not an accurate measure of physical health, right? Other indicators of health and well-being are like strength, stamina, flexibility, mental clarity, emotional stability, overall quality of life. These are the accurate measure of physical and emotional health. And when your self-worth is tied to the scale, you feel bad about yourself. Maybe you avoid social situations that involve food. Maybe you feel guilty about eating. Maybe you start obsessing about every calorie, carb, and fat gram. This is not a recipe for happiness. And it really negatively impacts the quality of your life and the quality of your sense of self. So it's really important to separate your self-worth from the number on the scale. And when you can do that, you can make healthy choices because they make you feel good and feel healthy, rather than you're striving for some specific weight. Health and self-worth are multifaceted. You can't measure them by a single number. I have so many people who also, they'll go to the doctor and the doctor will assume that they're so unhealthy, and all their blood work will come back and their blood work will be perfectly fine. And the doctor's always like, how is this possible? You're overweight. You shouldn't have these numbers. Well, that's because I'll get to this in a little later, of the medical bias, which is so frustrating. And also, if you're thin, you can have blood work or health barometers that are not so good. So we have to stop equating thinness with being, better, healthier, more attractive, all of these things. And then also you get into this vicious cycle of, you're fixated on your weight, then you feel dissatisfied with your body, then you can get into unhealthy behaviors like extreme dieting, over exercising, disordered eating, and all of that can be really detrimental to your health, which also leads to social isolation, low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, all kinds of other issues. And I'm going to talk again about healthcare, because a lot of people avoid going to the doctor because they anticipate weight bias from healthcare professionals. They will put off going to the doctor because they don't want to get a lecture about their weight, or they don't want to get on the scale. Oh, by the way, you don't have to get on the scale. You don't have to get on the scale unless you're having some kind of surgery or are taking some specific medication. When they say get on the scale, you can say no. You actually can. You could just say no, and they'll say, oh, I'll do it backwards. And you could just say, no, I don't do the scale. I'm fine. And they'll go, okay. And even if they try to press you, you just say, I'm not getting on the scale. I don't get on the scale. I had that exact conversation with a new doctor, and the nurse was like, he said, get on the scale. And I said, no, I don't do the scale. He said, well, but you have to. I said, no, I don't. Why? Why do I have to? I don't take any medication. I'm good. And we left it at that. Because the doctors work for you, right? You don't work for the doctor. You don't have to do everything they say, in terms of things like getting on the scale. You could say no. So I empower you. The next time you go to the doctor, remember, you don't have to get on that scale. No matter what your weight, that is often a triggering and unpleasant experience. And Barb is saying when we lose weight through starving, we actually also lose muscle. I'm going to get to that in a little bit, because there are many reasons that the scale may fluctuate that have nothing to do with actual like weight loss. You can work out. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll talk about this later, but I'm talking about it now too, since you brought it up. When you work out and you create muscle, you can actually get smaller, right? Because muscle weighs more than fat, and you can be tighter and smaller, but the scale will say that you're heavier. How about that? Yeah, and you can lose weight. Yes, losing weight through starvation is not a good idea for so many reasons. The scale will go down, but you've also lost muscle mass and changed your metabolism, which means that it is easier to gain weight when then you stop the starving thing. And also, medical bias is a thing. Like, it is a problem. There are so many people who have gone to the doctor for various complaints, and they're told that losing weight will alleviate their symptoms. And often it has nothing to do with their weight. One example, this guy was told that his joint pain, his body aches, and his fatigue were due to weight-related arthritis. This is what the doctor said. Oh, you have weight-related arthritis. If you just lose weight, you'll be fine. Well, it turned out this man had Lyme disease, which is extremely debilitating. It went untreated for a long time because of his doctor's weight bias. I mean, he could have died had he never sought a second opinion and discovered the truth. And Barb is saying, I did not lose weight in the gym, but I gained strength, and I am so happy about it. Yes, Barb, I love your attitude. Yeah. Like, what? Just because there's less of us doesn't mean we're better. This is all part of the diet industry, the $60 billion diet industry sales message, which is, hey, lose weight and you'll be better. People will like you more. You'll have more friends. You'll have a better life, and you'll be happier. What a superpower. How amazing. All you have to do is lose weight and your whole life changes. Amazing. Except none of it is true. You know what happens when you lose weight? Hey, you might feel good for a little bit, but your life doesn't get better. You just have the same life. You just have different numbers in your genes and on the scale. So equating weight with value and health is misleading, and it is damaging, and it reinforces harmful stereotypes. It perpetuates discrimination, and it negatively affects our mental and emotional and physical health. Let's talk more about the emotional impact of scale obsession. So if your mood for the day is dictated by the number on the bathroom scale, that can make or break your day. If it's lower than yesterday and you feel triumphant, oh yes, I lost weight, like you won a battle, which in itself is not exactly healthy. And if it's higher, your heart sinks, you're devastated, you feel defeated, you question what you did wrong, you might even vow to cut back on food and exercise more. And now your day is shot. And this just causes a lot of anxiety, and like that number shouldn't have so much impact on the way you feel in your life. So it also creates stress. There's the stress before you get on the scale. What's it going to say? There's, worrying. Oh my God, am I going to have I lost weight or have I gained it? And then there's the fallout of what happens when you see a number you don't want to see. And then the stress and anxiety from constantly weighing has this domino effect, which leads to even more stress. And then if you use food to cope with stress, it's a vicious cycle. So you stress yourself out over the scale. The number isn't what you want it to be. Even if it's lower, oh, why isn't it even lower? And if it's higher, oh my God, the worst. And then you feel stressed about that. Eat to cope, rinse and repeat. So it can lead to this unhealthy fixation or obsession with food, weight, body image, leads to constant feelings of body dissatisfaction, even disordered eating behavior. So if you don't have reliable ways to respond to anxiety or other feelings, you can end up using food to cope, which leads more focus on the scale, and the cycle just continues. So weighing daily can be a really self-reinforcing feedback loop. The anxiety about weight leads to constant weighing, which leads to more anxiety, which leads to eating. It's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So one method to tackle anxiety involves questioning and challenging those what if thoughts. Like, what if I'm stuck at this weight forever? What if that person doesn't like me? They're not all about the scale. Like, what if nothing ever changes? These are all what if fears. What if is fear about the future that creates anxiety in the here and now. And you feel anxiety in the present about a future that has not happened and may not happen and probably won't happen. So the remedy is to stick with what is. So if what if is fear, what is, that's the facts. And that means you focus solely on the current reality and what you know to be true in this moment. Because when you remain in the moment, you feel more relaxed, you feel more at ease, you're less likely to use food for comfort. You can reassure yourself. So that's so for example, like instead of what if I'm stuck at this weight forever? Oh my God. Now you're feeling horrible and anxious. Instead, wait, I'm actually actively addressing how I use food as a coping mechanism. Right. So what if the fear, what if it's never changes? The fact is, wait, I'm actually making some changes now. The thought of what if they don't like me, or what if I meet these people, they don't like me, or what if the people I met don't like me? I don't know what anyone thinks of me. Let me consider instead what I think about them, because we're not mind readers. We don't know what people think of us unless they tell us. So it's always a what if. What do they think of me? What if they don't like me? It's a big question mark. We've got to stay with what we know, the facts in the present. I don't know what anyone thinks of me. I am not psychic. I am not a mind reader. I'm going to just stay with, being an observer. Let me think about what I think of them. What if nothing ever changes, right? That's a big one I hear a lot. That's a fear. A fact is, I have made changes in the past, and I know I have the power to continue to evolve in my life. I have created changes in the past. Show me someone who's never changed. That person doesn't exist. You can make changes. And to remember, oh, wait, actually, here are the facts, right? Here's the truth. And so when you reassure yourself using the facts, your anxiety levels decrease. You feel more at ease. You're better equipped to tackle life's various challenges. And then you stop using food for comfort or distraction from your anxiety. Because when you use comfort words, you don't need comfort food, right? So that is one really wonderful, effective way to deal with anxiety. Ask Dr. Barb, educator. She loves this. And, I love it too. That's why I teach it to you guys. It's such an effective strategy to deal with anxiety. And now let's talk about the reasons the scale fluctuates. Because if you weigh yourself every day or even weekly or whatever, I am all in favor of just throw your scale away. You don't need the scale. The scale isn't keeping you from gaining weight. The scale has no power. But let's talk about some reasons that the scale does fluctuate. And these fluctuations are very normal. So here are some of the key factors that cause weight shifts. One is water retention. The human body is about 60% water, and that can vary according to how much you're drinking, what your sodium intake is, how many carbs you have. When you have a meal that is high in salt and carbs, it leads to temporary water retention. And that causes the scale to show a higher number. So it looks like you've gained weight, but no, you're just It's just water, right? Also, food as well as drink consumption, like the weight of the food and drink that you have during the day, it isn't just immediately made into fat, right? You know, it's first of all, you use it. We need to use our calories to keep our, our blood pumping, our heart pumping, and our blood going, and just keep our bodies going. We're not just having calories that turn into fat. We're eating calories because we're burning them and using them. And but if you eat something, if you eat a big meal, it's going to show up on the scale because your body hasn't processed it. Have you gained weight? No, you just ate something and it's showing up on the scale. In fact, drinking a cup of water will add half a pound to the scale. When I worked at an eating disorder treatment program back in the day, people who struggled with anorexia were not allowed to drink water. Because what would happen is they would go and pound a bunch of water. They'd drink like 8 cups of water, and it would make them look like they gained 4 pounds, that they were 4 pounds heavier. So when you drink liquid, that shows up on the scale, but it is not weight, right? It is not weight gain. Also, if you weigh yourself before and after using the restroom, you will see a small difference, but you haven't actually lost weight. And then, of course, exercise and sweat. When you work out, especially strenuous exercise that makes you sweat a lot, that causes a temporary weight loss. Not really, it just changes the number on the scale because you've lost fluid. But as soon as you rehydrate, it's going to come right back, which I wish I had this figured out when I was in ballet and we would all wear these pants, these like plastic pants that made you sweat like crazy sweat. And you'd get out of ballet class and the pants would just be dripping with sweat and be like, yes, you get on the scale, I've lost weight. And then, of course, you have a cup of water or a glass of tea or coffee or something, and boom, it was back because it's not weight loss. It's just water loss or water gain, all of these things. Also, hormonal changes for women. Our weight fluctuates naturally throughout our cycle. Hormonal changes lead to water retention. There's a theme here, water, water. And you bloat, especially when it's around the time of your period. So that's you haven't gained weight, right? The scale is higher, but you haven't gained weight. And also weight training. So Barb, this is a little bit what you were saying earlier. When you're doing strength training, you may gain muscle while losing fat. Muscle is denser than fat and it weighs more. So your body may be getting smaller. The number on the scale could go up, right? Have you gained weight? Well, I guess the number is higher, but your body is smaller and tighter and stronger. So have you gained weight? No. I mean, this is why it's so ludicrous to be so focused on the scale. It's really not measuring us. And you can lose weight by going on a crazy starvation diet, but you've just lost muscle. So let's talk just, oh my gosh, I'm almost done. I'm almost out of time. So quickly, some strategies to break free from the scale. One is to focus on victories that are unrelated to weight loss, like feeling stronger, like Barb was saying earlier, having more energy, sleeping better, like have goals and victories that are tangible. And when you recognize these non-scale victories, they help shift your focus from what you weigh, right? From what you weigh to your overall health. Also, exercising intuitively. What do I mean by this? Rather than working out for the purpose of burning calories or losing weight, intuitive exercise is about moving your body in ways that feel good to you, exercising in ways that you really like, listening to your body, being in tune, intuitive. And when you do that, you're more likely to like choose exercises that you like. So therefore, you're going to do it more often. An example, Camille, she thought she had to do what she called like serious cardio on a daily basis. And she felt lazy, her word, lazy, if she did anything less than a 90-minute kickboxing class. And this was so daunting that half the time she blew it off and didn't go. So she either did this 90-minute kickboxing class or she felt lazy and didn't do anything. But when she learned to listen to her body, she changed her workouts. So sometimes she did kickboxing, but other times she did yoga. She took a walk. She did things she enjoyed. So she actually ended up exercising more often, which was better for her overall health and also helped with her weight loss efforts. And you know what? That I just want to share this, and then that's our show for today. But Barb is saying there's something about swearing in the gym that makes me happy. Do you mean sweating? I'd like to think she means swearing. Damn. Oh, Barb, you're so funny. Okay, so that we'll let Barb have the last word there. There's something about sweating in the gym, or maybe swearing, both work, that make you happy. Love it. So keep this in mind and do what you can to break up with the scale. It is not a measure of your self-worth, and it is not even a measure of your weight. So that is the show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Dr. Nina Savell Rocklin, psychoanalyst, here to help you create a binge-free, happy life. I'm here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, and you can listen later wherever you get podcasts. And if you would like a deeper dive into this topic and many others, check out my book, The Binge Cure: 7 Steps to Outsmart Emotional Eating, available on Amazon in every format, including audiobook where I read it to you. Stay curious, not critical. Remember, you are perfectly imperfect, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
You're listening to the Dr. Nina Show with Dr. Nina Savell Rocklin, only on LA Talk Radio.